What's happening, Sean?
Hey, another day. We're right back at
Another day and another round of sports betting picks. Really not a whole lot of action today. I mean, we got one real game to talk about, the New York Yankees and Boston Red Sox. Maybe some Gold Cup soccer. I got some ideas there today, I think, in a parlay that could pay off. We'll see. Of course, yesterday we had the Milwaukee Bucks make their way back into the NBA Finals, evening up that series with a 6-point win, thankfully, against the Phoenix Suns. But, you and I were texting back and forth yesterday, and I don't know if it's the coaching or the players, but somebody doesn't think right in the NBA. At least in that game they didn't, because Devin Booker had about half of Phoenix's points. With like 3 minutes to go or something like that in the third quarter, he had his fourth foul. Came out for a little bit, and then they put him right back in. And when I was a kid, when we had played basketball, even in summer leagues, if a guy was lighting us up and he was a foul or two away from fouling out, we would ISO him and make contact with him every single time and put the pressure on the ref to make a call and get his, out of the game. And I didn't really see Milwaukee kind of doing that.
No, and like you said, it's not too hard in the NBA neither. Just go down there, flop a little bit, make a little hand contact. You're gonna get the foul. So, yeah, it was pretty amazing, and that's why I just don't trust Milwaukee. I'm shocked that they're 2 games away from winning this title, to be honest with you. And I still don't think they're gonna go into Phoenix and win either game if it does go 7. So I still like Phoenix here, but I really thought I got robbed and Phoenix got robbed, and it's Phoenix's fault. I mean.
I don't think they got robbed. I just think they didn't play well.
I think they blew it. They could have cemented the series right there. They had that game. They were leading almost the whole game.
Yeah, they were until I think 2 minutes left is when Milwaukee finally took the lead.
Yeah, so hopefully they don't look back at that, and that was their championship. But like I said, I think the home team series, it's just going to continue that way.
I feel like if there would have been a little bit better coaching from Milwaukee, a little bit better recognition from the players of the situation on the court, the game would have been a blowout. Because like I said, if I were to coach, Devin Booker would have been involved in a ton of contact for the rest of the game until he fouled out. And then you would have put the heat on the likes of Chris Paul,
he struggled
Cameron Johnson, or Crowder to go ahead and make all those shots down the stretch and beat a man. And I just don't see that being the case whatsoever at all.
No, Chris Paul really struggled.
What do you think?
Yeah, Chris Paul really struggled. If Chris Paul would have been on last night, might have been a whole different game.
Yeah, it might have been a whole different game if Chris Paul had been on. But it wasn't a whole different game. It is what it is. It's water under the bridge, so to speak. Speaking of the bridge, sort of the bridge, we'll call it the British. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about some picks in the British Open. And, well, they're off today and running. So some of the picks I highlighted, Abraham Answer, top 30. Right now he's 32nd. He's plus 115 at that number. Grillo, top 40, plus 275. He's 48th, so he's right in that mix. Stuart Sink, I had him in the top 40 for plus 160. The guy's 4th. I should have, should never count out the old guys, man.
Yeah.
Colin Morikawa, plus 230 to be a top 10 finish. Right now, he's 9th. Daniel Berger, top 10 finish, plus 400. Well, he's right now tied, I think, for 48th. So he's got some work to get back into the mix, but I suppose that's possible. John Rahm, my pick to win. Right now, he's got a long, long way to go. He's tied for 74th. If he stays where he is, he'll miss the cut. And speaking of missing the cut, I mentioned a couple guys yesterday. Patrick Reed right now is 94th, I think, plus 275 to miss the cut. If he doesn't move up tomorrow, he'll be on his way back to the States. Bryson DeChambeau, which was my top pick to miss the cut for the favorites, plus 225. He's tied for 74. So he'll have to have a good day tomorrow to stay in the British Open. And of course, I just mentioned Rory McIlroy gets off to bad starts. And if he gets off to a bad start, he could wash out. But today he didn't get off the start. He's even par and could find his way. I suspect he'll make the cut. But I did like that Bryson. I think that's a course that doesn't fit for him. We shall see.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just his style, like you said. So He can win any tournament, and he can completely bomb at different.
Well, it's just a tough course for him because he likes to bomb and hack, and quite frankly, that's not the kind of course that they have there. Speaking of bombs, the Bronx Bombers tonight are the only Major League Baseball game on the schedule as they return from the All-Star break. You have the New York Yankees being visited by the Boston Red Sox. Total rivalry there. Wagers right now are split about 50-50, it looks like, but a little bit more money. So as far as the game is concerned, it's about 2 out of 3 of the tickets are on the Red Sox, but 51 cents out of every dollar is on the Yankees. So there's a slight advantage in terms of money to the Yanks.
Yeah, this one's tough for me. I don't trust the Yankees at all right now. If I had to go one way, I'd go Boston, but I'm not touching it officially. Maybe, later I sit down and start watching the game, and I do. I was intrigued by an odd boost on DraftKings. They took a no run in the first inning from plus 110 to plus 150, and you get a lot of games with no runs in the first inning. Pitching matchup ain't exactly the greatest, and these are offensive teams. But also
9.5 is the number. Yeah, the over-under.
You just had the break too, so the pitcher should be fresh. And the hitters, it may take a little bit to, get back in the zone.
To catch back up there. I was looking at this game. Everything that I do says take Boston. Boston has won, I think, 7 in a row against the New York Yankees. They swept the Yankees earlier in the season in New York Yankee Stadium, number 3, the third. Yankees are 15-15 versus lefties. They're like 1 game above 500 at home. I think the Red Sox have the best road record. Everything says take Boston. Everything. But I just feel like the Yankees are going to win, so I'm going to trust my intuition here. When you look at Diego Germain against Boston, the last 2 games at home, he's let up 3 earned runs in 12 2/3 innings. His counterpart, Eduardo Rodriguez, in the New York Yankee Stadium, the third, has given up 7 earned runs in his last 12 innings pitched. So Yankees have a better bullpen. I feel like the Yankees are one of those teams that has to make a move if they want to reach their goals in 2021. They've underperformed year to date, I think. So this will be a good place for them to start to pick up a game on the division-leading Red Sox. So the computer says take Boston. My analysis says, yeah, I'm going to kind of pass on that, and I would think about taking the Yankees, but I'm not going to do either.
Yeah, and if you look, there's some interesting, good Boston hitters don't do so well against Germain too. J.D. Martinez is 1 for 12 lifetime. That's a small sample, but 1 hit out of 12 at bats. And then there's a couple others. Rafael Devers is like 2 for 15. So some of Boston's big hitters struggle against him.
Well, like I said, it seems like Diego Germain against Boston at home does much better than he does in Fenway. So speaking of baseball, we might as well take a look at the halfway mark, or at least the all-star mark of going forward, some futures. We have the MVP, division winners. We'll start with the MVP. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. To me, I think the MVP is just down to – it's just one player basically to me, but you have some other ideas. It's probably the same player.
No, it's the exact same player. You get a plus line with Tatis. I believe he's plus 110, plus 115. Because DeGrom's the favorite, and like you said, some people have issues, and I understand it, giving the MVP to a pitcher. Not to mention that I'm okay with it if the pitcher's got 20 wins and the ERA's less than 1.5.
Nope.
But DeGrom gets no run support, so his wins are never there. Also, he's given up a couple runs in his last 2 starts, so can he be as impressive in that first? I expect the ERA to come up a little bit. So he's not going to be as impressive. Tatis missed a couple of games. Tatis is going to really set it in here in the second half, and the impressive numbers are going to become even more impressive. And as long as he doesn't get hurt, I think he's your runaway MVP.
Yeah, I'm giving it a flat no on Jacob deGrom. He's also the leader right now in terms of Cy Young Award. So I don't think you're going to see him. And he's like minus 1,200. And the next closest guy is Brandon Woodruff at like plus 1,500 and Kevin Gausman. So Jacob deGrom, injury notwithstanding, makes it the rest of the season. He's your Cy Young Award winner. There's no way on the planet he's going to get the Cy Young and the MVP. You cannot give the MVP to a person who's on the mound in 20% of the games, and then when he's on the mound, maybe 70% of the 20% that he's in. So that puts him at 14%. So that means 86% of the time, DeGrom is not making a contribution to the New York Mets. Whereas Fernando Tatis is out there every single day, again, notwithstanding injuries, some load management, whatever that's become. But Fernando Tatis, if he repeats the second half of the year, plus 120 is a steal. He's going to be the MVP if he repeats.
I said yesterday, I don't like these bets because you could put $100 on it. You're sitting on that $100. It's an investment. You're sitting on it for a month. The other thing would be if Tatis goes in the second half and gets hurt, he's not winning the MVP. So that's the other issue with this bet. But we both like it. It's a plus value. So if you have the money, and it's a good bet.
Yeah. So the next thing we want to look at is team futures. So you have division winners. The NL East, the Mets are the favorite, followed by the Phillies and the Braves. I think to me, the only team that I would probably take outside the Mets would be the Braves. The Phillies to me are too erratic. Their pitching kind of stinks. Their bullpen, as we've talked about before, is just brutal. So if you're looking for a plus line, the only other consideration would be the Atlanta Braves.
The problem with the Braves is they just lost Acuna for the year. So actually, I didn't see any. So I had a hard time with this because I didn't see any way the Braves are going to make up. What are they now? 3 games, 5 games?
I mean, there are a few games behind.
I think they're going to struggle in the second half without Acuna. The Mets, they're decent, but they just don't. I don't know. I couldn't trust. One, you're not going to get value betting them. I was intrigued, and I'm not the biggest Phillies fan. I'm not a local team fan, and I'm around here. I'm not a. I hate the Phillies. I hate Philadelphia teams, but I'm actually intrigued by the plus 500 line with the Phillies here.
No chance with that pitching staff. I mean, I just guaranteed. I mean, I would much rather
it's the bullpen.
Take a crack at if you're going to go a little bit farther down. I'd much rather take a crack at Washington because at least Washington has a good offense. Atlanta is the only other team in the division that has a plus run differential. So I think, to me, you can go out and get another player to fill in for Acuna. He's not going to be as good, but there are going to be people available. Maybe they string together a deal for a Chris Bryant or something like that, switch their outfield around a little bit, and Chris Bryant can make up for that production, provided people aren't on base in the All-Star game. But to me, the only other option there is the Atlanta Braves. Maybe Washington on the outside at plus 1,200, but that going to get Strasburg back and some other people to get a little bit healthier. Speaking of the Cubs, they're in the NL Central. According to the odds right now, they're plus 1,300. News around here that they're going to start unloading players. This, to me, looks like it's Milwaukee's division. Maybe Cincinnati can catch them. They're heating up. But I do think the Cincinnati Reds will need to add to their pitching staff to make it happen. But they have kind of dominated Milwaukee when they've gone head up.
Yeah, and that's my intriguing play in the NL Central. You get plus 400 for Cincinnati, and they've heated up before the All-Star break. They've been really good. Yeah, they can hit. Their starters aren't bad. It's the bullpen that's not the greatest. Somebody didn't like that pick.
No, that was, I don't know, my Diet Pepsi can shot me or something. I was like, what the? I mean, Diet Mountain Dew. All right. Startling. Yeah.
I think Cincinnati's intriguing at plus 400 because, like you said, the Cubs aren't going to do it. The Cardinals aren't going to make up 8 games. And the Brewers, the problem with the Brewers is their offense is not always the best. So
yeah, but they're by far the highest run differential in.
Their offense surprised towards the end there, but they go.
Well, I think they just have the pitching. Right? They're a 6-inning team. You get to the 6th inning and they have the lead. You're not going to score. You're going to lose that game.
Yep.
So the NL West. This is the one that's interesting to me because San Francisco right now has the lead in the division. They're 2 games up on the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are minus 285. And if you stay with the leading Giants right now, you're getting plus 425, and then the Padres, you're going to get yourself plus 450. And I think the Padres have kind of dominated the Dodgers this year.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trust San Fran. We've talked about this. San Fran started off really, really good, and they're coming back. Dodgers are getting healthy. I wouldn't go against the Dodgers here, although I understand the value. And this is kind of they're teasing you to take San Francisco there since you see that 2-game lead. But that 2-game lead ain't going to matter over the next 80 games. So
I don't know. The Dodgers are kind of
it.
underperformed. I know those numbers were crazy for the win-loss at the beginning of the year, and I felt like they would go over their win total. They probably still will. But that division, I think the Padres, I think they have aggressive management, as we've seen. They're going to go out and try to improve their ball club. To me, the team there, if you're going to look for values, not the Giants. I agree with you. I think that because they've overperformed on the year. I think San Diego is the team that you want to look at for. They're young, they're exciting, they're energetic. And they have painted a bullseye on the back of the Dodgers. So, I feel like if anybody's going to go get the Dodgers and pass them and be in first at the end of the year, it's San Diego or bust.
Yeah, and that would take a trade from San Diego, like you said, or injuries for the Dodgers, like they've had in the first half of the year. They've gotten healthy now. It'd be real hard, in my opinion. It's going to be real hard for San Diego to make 4 games up on this Dodgers team. I think the Dodgers team is going to be the best team in the second half here.
Could well be, but you never know. Injuries can hurt them as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now the American League, you have the Boston Red Sox minus 110 and the Tampa Bay Rays plus 175 is the 2 favorites to win the American League East. The Yankees are plus 700. Toronto, who is only they're 8 games back. To me, this is between Tampa and Boston, and you have to take your pick there.
Yeah, and actually, you don't get a plus line, but you almost get even money. I take Boston here. I don't think Tampa Bay is better than Boston, and I don't think Yankees or Toronto is making up that many games for both of those teams. So I think Boston.
They both need to make up 8.
Yeah, Boston's your winner here.
I don't know.
And actually,
Tampa Bay
they have value there.
I think Tampa Bay is a good value at plus 175. It's a 50-50 between them. Tampa Bay has a much better run differential than not much better, but better than than Boston does. And I can't see Boston continue to win at a 65% clip or whatever it is they're winning on the road. I just don't see that happening. They'll come back to the pack on the road. And as far as pitching is concerned, the Tampa Bay has the best pitching staff out in the East. So they're not too far behind Boston in offense, better pitching. I think Tampa Bay could overtake them by the time the season's over, plus 175. I think the AL Central, I think we can both agree that's the one division that's probably already over.
Yeah, that's definitely over. White Sox are running away with that.
What's that?
I said, yeah, that's definitely over. The White Sox are definitely running away with that. They got an 8-game lead, and they've just been really good this year, and they're not going to come back to the pack.
Yeah, they're the only team in the AL Central with a positive run differential. Everybody else is behind the 8 ball there. And then the AL West, I think you got some possibilities here. The Houston Astros do have the largest run differential, I think, in all of baseball, or maybe the Dodgers do, but they do it for sure in the American League. They dominate games at home, and they have a very strong record on the road as well. And they looks like they have the best pitching staff in the AL West. So can anybody catch Houston at minus 550?
I wouldn't bet on it. The only team you could take would be Oakland, but they're 3.5 games back, and I don't see.
Yeah, and Houston just dominates Oakland. So I think that's not going to happen. So league winner, who do you have winning the American League?
The American League, I didn't touch that bet. I mean, you're looking at Boston, Chicago, or Houston. I didn't see value in any of them that I could trust. So the AL, I did not take any futures on that.
Well, to me, I think, plus 300 on the White Sox, who I think have the best record and the highest winning percentage in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
By a very small amount. And they're also in probably the weakest division of the 3 American League conferences. So they should be able to beat up on the Detroits, the Minnesotas, and the Kansas Cities and expand that. So I think it's going to be the easiest for the White Sox, of the easiest path to home field advantage throughout the playoffs, at least until the World Series. So I think the White Sox at plus 300 seems to me, I feel like it's 50-50 that they're going to be in the ALCS, and especially if they have the best record. So if they're in the ALCS, 50-50 that you're getting them into the World Series, and at plus 300. I don't really see much of an issue with that. The National League, the Dodgers are plus 165, followed by the Padres, then the Mets, then the Brewers.
Yeah, I would go the Dodgers here. I mean, they are just they're usually one of the best teams in the regular season, but the playoffs, their pitching is just set up for the playoffs. Everything is set up for the playoffs for them. So I think they're your NL champs, and you get the plus line. I think the other day I looked, they were plus 190, so they've actually been hammered to go down to plus 165 a little bit here. So
what if Trevor Bauer can't come back?
No, that's okay. That pitching staff's deep.
Mm-hmm.
You only need 4 pitchers come playoffs. They'll be fine.
Yeah, to me, I think the Dodgers probably are the safest play. Plus, you're getting a plus line there. So, if I were going to look for a long shot in all of this, I would probably lean towards Milwaukee, simply because at some point Christian Yelich is going to play like Christian Yelich. Maybe not. Maybe he's just going to have an off year. And their pitching staff is pretty solid. They're pretty good at home, and they're plus 550. So they probably, again, have the best shot at winning their division. I think you'll probably see that they'll get into the mix for home field advantage, or at least a second in terms of, they won't probably finish ahead of the Dodgers, but they could because of the weakness of their division. And if they can get home field advantage, maybe they can make it to the NLCS. And if they can make it to the NLCS, we've seen from these playoff series, if you can get in, anything could happen.
Yeah, and I would say we can talk even future here. San Diego, I feel like, might be a year away. San Diego is going to be the team next year to jump all over San Diego.
Maybe. They could get it done this year too.
They could, but I feel like it's usually when people start jumping on a team, which people have jumped on San Diego, they're a year away. Next year will be the year that San Diego will contest to the Dodgers and everything else.
World Series. Dodgers are your favorite, followed by the Astros, the Padres, the Mets, the White Sox, the Red Sox, the Brewers, the Rays. I think that's probably pretty much one of the World Series. It's probably likely to be won by one of those 6 teams.
Yeah, and I would say the Dodgers again. The other day when I sat down and did this, they were plus 190. I'm not sure what the line is now.
They're plus 380. That's
I'm sorry, they were plus 400 for the World Series. So again, they came down a little bit. People are bored that they're not having anything to bet on, so they're betting on these futures, and the Dodgers are the bet.
They're not paying attention to us because we've given them things to bet on day in and day out. The White Sox, to me, are the play here because I feel like they've been in this process. I do suspect that they're going to have home field advantage in the American League. They get home. You're playing in Chicago. It's 25 degrees out. The wind is blowing. It's freezing cold. Some of these other teams might not like that sort of weather. The White Sox are tough at home. I think the White Sox have a 50-50 shot at representing the American League in maybe not 50-50, but if they can make the ALCS 50-50, they have a really strong shot to represent the American League in the World Series. And minus the Dodgers, I think the White Sox are probably can beat any other of the National League teams, especially if they get home field advantage. So for me, the best value for the World Series is the Chicago White Sox.
And wow, that's tough for you to say. Like it was tough for me to say the Phillies are going to win the division too. So we're really unbiased here, and those are. If we're saying that and we don't like those teams, that's really might be a good bet.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the White Sox, but I'm not a negative fan of them either. It's good for the city of Chicago when something positive is happening instead of all the negative that you read about my hometown in the papers. Some neighborhoods is like that, and it is growing. It is getting to be like back to the Al Capone days. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, so the only other really thing left on the schedule today is Gold Cup soccer. Yesterday we got another one of those. We didn't get a stupid soccer tie. My Trinidad Tobago team didn't pull it out. It was 1-0 to the very end. They had a couple chances, but they couldn't get the tying goal. I was pulling for a tie. I'm like, come on, stupid soccer tie. Let's go. But unfortunately, we didn't get the stupid soccer tie. Today, the U.S. team is back in action. They are going to play against Martinique. If that game is a draw, I quit soccer forever looking at soccer. And then you have Canada versus Haiti. If you take Canada and you take the United States, and you parlay them, it's minus 263. That's how big of favorites both of them are. To me, I'm going to parlay today over 2.5 goals in both games. And I think that works out to be like plus 128. So the U.S. should be able to put up at least 3, 4, 5 on Martinique all by themselves. And I expect Canada to score 2, maybe 3 goals, and maybe more, and Haiti to get at least 1 against Canada. So I'm going to go over 2.5 goals in each game and get a plus 128 line.
Wow. Soccer is hard for me. If I'm going to bet anything in soccer, I'll always bet the unders and ties. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. You like the over.
Well, it's not over. It's just total goals because I don't know what the actual over is.
Right, but yeah.
But you can bet goals, in the game. And I feel like, to me, the U.S. get 3 by themselves. I don't have any. They should score more than 3 against Martinique. They should have 3 by halftime. So I'm not worried about that game going to 3. The only one that I'm a bit concerned about is Haiti and Canada. But Canada's a pretty offensive team. They're one of the better teams in there. Haiti does. They have some offensive ability. They got some speed. I think there's a chance Haiti can get a goal, but I expect Canada to get at least 2. And if Canada can get 2 and Haiti can get 1, that gets me over 2.5. Put the 2 together, and I'm at plus 128. So I'm going to make that an official bet for 25 on that parlay.
Okay.
All right.
I don't have any official bets today. I might bet some stuff in my personal account, but we'll get rolling again tomorrow with a full schedule of baseball.
Yeah, so we'll have plenty of things to choose from there. Tonight, Sean and I will be back in about 4.5 hours for Horse Racing Radar. We have a guest on today. Tell us a little bit about our show tonight, Sean.
Yeah, JJ Hassel. She's a horse racing enthusiast. She's been a sports reporter, horse racing reporter. She's written articles. She's done all kinds of things in the sport. And another podcast tonight that will be absolutely great for people that are involved in the sport or new to the sport, because you're going to learn a lot tonight.
Yeah, I expect. And then we're also going to cover the big races on Saturday at Monmouth Park, including the Haskell, my favorite track on the planet, where you're not allowed to use a whip. So the horses just kind of, like lottery ping pong balls. However they start is how they. I mean, it's just really tough handicapping.
Handicapping screwed up because we got no whip, and the races, I believe, have no Lasix as well. So
yeah,
it's all over the place. It's not what we grew up betting. So it's all new.
Yeah, it makes it a challenge. It's fun, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's what Sean and I will be focused on tonight, along with Terry and Tom and our guest. Make sure you tune in for that. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk Major League Baseball. We'll have plenty to choose from on tomorrow's roster. If you want to tune in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell. Tell your friends about us. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or that's all we have right now. No Instagram yet or TikTok. I'm still working on getting Sean to dance with tools on TikTok. All right, Sean. Until tomorrow, everybody. Hey, good luck. May all your bets be winners.